mistakes that are expensive to fix in the later part of the design process. So you want to avoid it. So even if you can't afford UX research, it's better to just do a little research than no research at all, because no one is okay. No one is probably going to expensive to fix in the later part of the. Okay, I don't know why there's an echo, but I think I'm okay now. So, so I want you to think of UX research in this way. I want to think of it in this broad sense. So when you see the word this versus, it doesn't mean that they are competing. That's not the meaning of this. So it's just a broad methodologies that I really want you guys to look when you're looking at UX research as a whole. You think of it in this perspective. So you have like the quantitative research, you have the qualitative research. So as a UX researcher, you could begin your research with collecting data using the quantitative method that you see. So that I'm going to show you. I'm just going to show you some. I'm not going to cover everything because there are different methods, and then you probably see some of the articles already, and then you see different methods that we have. So you can begin with maybe using a method from the quantitative path, and then you collect the data, you understand the user's need, you understand their motivation, and then you can decide to use some quantitative measures to test your hypothesis, and then to really understand if whatever problem you think you are facing is valid or not. So when you are choosing your research method, it is very important to use all of this method hand in hand, because they all have their places. For example, one of the questions someone asked me before we started this session was the questions that I set up for to maybe in surveys, like, do I use the same questions everywhere in terms of maybe when you want to ask your user stuff? So I said my response to that was that it depends. For example, for a quantitative research, for maybe if you're working for an e-commerce website, an example of a quantitative research would be, okay, you want to know how, you want to ask your users questions about their shopping habits, like how many of your stuff that did they buy in a year. So to do that, you can easily probably reach out to maybe people that have the data, maybe in the database, or you can send out a survey. So all of this is it deals with number, and then you can decide that, okay, we want to use qualitative methodologies to find out how can you want to find out why do they leave our website so quickly? Because questions like that, you can't easily answer that by survey. By measuring numbers, like, okay, why do you leave our website quickly? I mean, you can only know the number of probably users that leave quickly, but you want to really know the reason behind that. So you probably would not get a very good answer from that, just sending out maybe surveys. Sometimes it's very, very helpful to talk to those users, because you put human face behind whoever is the product. So I'm just going to run each of. I'm going to run. Okay. So I'm going to, okay. All right. So,
sorry, Baba.
Yeah, it's fine. So now, the methodologies I was talking about, so I just want to run through each of them. You see some of the references I have. I got, I've added the references to each of these definitions here. Like I said, again, you have access to this slide, and then you can go read it up yourself. And you also see us going through some of these articles ourselves, because most times it's just better to look at what some experts have done, right? And yeah, so quantitative research, it measures the user behavior that can be quantified. Like you can really measure it. You want to know, for example, how many items of clothing do users buy online per year from our website? You just want to know, okay, 5,000 people bought our shoe last year. You know, that's quant, like you can measure it, and there are different methods here. I mean, there are a lot. If an experienced UX researcher is looking at this, like they know this is nothing compared to the amount of methodologies that we have. So part of them was what we saw last session. We did a survey, and then this is what we want to achieve with this program, where we see people doing stuff already. We've seen people send out surveys, questionnaires, asking questions for people to help them to fill out. One thing that survey is going to do is going to help you to know if whatever hypothesis you have is valid or not. If it's not valid, if it's not valid, you won't waste any time designing any screen, because right from your research, so you ask somebody that, do you have this challenge? And the person said no. And then 50 people tell you the same thing. No, I don't have this problem. Then you probably waste too much time trying to develop maybe an app or mobile app for that. So it's always research is always a good validation for most of our hypotheses. So for qualitative research focuses more on collecting, analyzing, interpreting data like behavior, emotions of people, and sometimes even their opinion. For example, you want to ask why they leave a website so quickly, like I said earlier. So to get good feedback of good response, you can have user interview by talking to users one-on-one, focus group, like we learned from last week. You pick selected group of people and you ask them questions. We have diary studies where you ask users or participants that you've recruited to write out things by using your product. So researchers use all of these methods to test, confirm the assertions or their theory or whatever assumption they have, with the goal to establish facts about the topic that they are doing. For example, I want to give another example here is, okay, users, they don't complete the checkout process, right? So it's easy to know, okay, maybe you can talk to the developer to know how many people click buy now button. Like, okay, so out of 50 people that click the buy now button, how many people actually complete the buying process? So you can get the data from, I think sometimes you use Google Analytics, as you will see in some of the slides I have here. And then all of this is to get data that you can draw insights from, right? So when you're choosing the method you want to use, so you don't have like, oh, this is this method I'm going to use here, this is this method I'm going to use here. It depends on what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to solve, whatever point you are in the design phase. So I just wanted you to know all of that, right? So the next thing is, so I'm just going to quickly read through this. Again, I have the link where you can read more about all of these things. So the goal of artisanal research is to measure the user's preconceived beliefs, because sometimes most people have like what they think about that your product will do. Sometimes the questions you need to ask in this period is like, okay, how much do you think this product is worth? Or how would you use this product? So you want to know like their attitude towards whatever you're trying to build, or maybe your product if it's existing already. And then you have the behavioral research where you want to measure what people do exactly, because sometimes what people say is different from what they do, right? Because sometimes in survey, some people can lie in surveys, but I mean, watching people closely, how they actually use your product is very important for you to, as a researcher. So for example, a company is launching a new vacuum cleaner and they're watching participants use the product in task, while someone is writing how they are using it. So again, I'm going to send you the link to read more about all of these things. We have also generative research, evaluation research. So if you look at all of these definitions, one aspect is collecting data. The other one is like digging through that data to know more about the user, to not just in terms of numbers, to know why, exactly why. You want to probe more, you want to probe further to get the reason behind something, so you can make sense of everything you want to put into your design or whatever solution you feel you have that your users will like should have. So let's quickly rush through the research methods we have. Okay, so if you are in, you can mute yourself, right? If you join, because the session is being recorded. So yeah. Okay, so the methods I'd like to talk about first. So I'm not going to talk about too much. I'm just going to talk about, I think, four. I have four here in my slides. Again, you have tons of methods that are available online that you can go through. So here, I mean, so in research, like, there are lots of terminologies that we have out there, but to really understand them, you just Google and then you find out that they are probably concepts that you already know, or you probably already use in your day-to-day stuff. But you know, in terms of for a professional UX researcher, they use this terminologies, and at first it can be maybe intimidating or overwhelming. But if you spend some time making your research, you find out that there are things anyone can easily pick up and learn. So I got this good example from Wikipedia. So as the name implies, A/B testing is just, so researchers, for example, it works well with when you have like maybe a prototype already, like a small two variants of design, where you take those two designs, you put it in front of a user, you get a user, people that can use your product, and then you give it to them and you say, okay, look at these two designs, try to use them. And then you as the researcher, you are trying to get collect data, right, from it. So for the example we have here is one example, the click rate is 52%, which is a good one, right? At least it's above average, depending on the benchmark you have for average anyways. And then you have on the other side, you have this green shiny button that looks like something is going to happen if you click on it because of this arrow that is there. And then you have 72% click rate. We don't know the reason why people click this one more than this one. Maybe someone might get to the site and feel, I like this one that looks green. It looks like something good is going to happen on the other end. So this result, 72% to 52%, I mean, you know from data that we are not going to go with this first design. We are going with the second design because you have proof to back it up, right? So this is what A/B testing is all about. So you can do it for different features of your product. In fact, it's not just about the UI alone, like design, that they do use A/B testing for. Some can be focused on like language of the writing, the UX copy, the way they write stuff. For example, there's an example I read on this on an article, which again I'm going to share everything. So it's like disclaimer: I'm not the one that wrote all of this article. It's from experienced UX researchers online. So in the example someone gave was that there was a call to action button. So they changed a call to action button from start your free 30 days trial to start my free 30-day trial. And then they experienced 90% lift in click-through. Like people clicked the one that had click start my free data trial because it was more personal to the person. So the person felt, oh, this is, I mean, it's just very little. I mean, an average person will just like, what does this mean? It doesn't make any sense. But to the user, it's very important. You've personalized the experience to him. So he wants to click more, and then the experience 90% click rate. So if you see that kind of data, and then you talk to the people making decisions, like maybe your manager or the management, and then you back up the reason why you changed this button from dull blue to green, it is now backed by research because you have done your A/B testing, and you find out that people click this more than they click this. Yeah, so that's the whole concept of A/B testing, and it is used widely in as a method in UX research. You can read more. You have the access to these slides and more. Okay, so this is. Okay, I talked about A/B testing here. So, okay, so here we have surveys and questionnaire. So last week, we talked about surveys and questionnaires. So Ridwan took us through different stuff that we have out there, different tools that we have out there. I also want to add stuff like we have Typeform. I mean, the researchers use this a lot, but I think the reason why you might probably not use this is the pricing is a bit expensive, except maybe you're working in a big organization that is very big on UX research, then you might probably want to consider that. So, but we have Google Form, right? I think we use Google Form on our last last call. It's free, and then Ridwan took us through how to create all of this. I mean, of course, we don't have all of the time on that call to go through everything, but we went through the basic ones, how to create the radio selection, how to add multiple stuff. And the cool thing is completely free. As long as you have a Google account, you can use the free version, and then people are already using it already. So that's one of those tools that we have for surveys and questionnaires. So questionnaire surveys, they are technique for, you just want to gather information about the attitudes or the action of a particular group of people or maybe group of users. Yeah, so that's what that is all about. And the cool thing is sorry, Ridwan, you want to say something?
No, Baba, I'm with you.
Oh, okay, sorry. I actually thought this was you. Okay, so this one, I'm going to spend some time here. Yeah, user interview. So like nothing really, I don't know, maybe this is just my personal opinion, like nothing really beats talking to your people, like the people that are using it. So this way, like you put a human face to your product, and then people are like, so you're the one designing the app that I've been using. Wow, okay. Is it that your product? It doesn't make any sense at all. Really? And then you start asking questions to understand, what do you mean it doesn't make any sense at all? And then they start breaking all of that down for you. So I'm going to use an example from one project I worked on in the past. And of course, okay, so this is a website. So I wanted to show you this. Okay, so there's this video that is playing on my screen right now. So I just wanted to show you like a background to this. So I was working on a product where we needed to, it's like a bulk payment stuff where you can upload maybe 100 people. Let's say you're a CEO of a company and you want to pay the salary of your people all at once. And then we needed a solution that can do all of this. Actually, it's an internal product that we use in the company I work for. And then while I was designing this, I wanted to improve the experience. And because, I mean, that's the normal design process. You want to ask people questions. So I use the user interview method here, and then I talk to people. And then part of the feedback I got was that you don't have, at that time, we don't have something that validates records. So when you upload those 100 people, there's nothing that validates it. So it has to be done manually, and then someone has to cross-check everything and see that there are no errors whatsoever before they now upload it on that platform. So after talking to one of the people that used our product, then I figured out, okay, so there has to be a way to validate stuff. So we spoke with the product team, the engineers, everybody was involved in this conversation that, okay, there has to be a way to validate stuff, right? So we came up with this solution. So when you drag stuff on that platform or on the product, there's this thing that runs where, there's a check on the back end, and then whoever is uploading the stuff has confidence, like a kind of confidence in this product that, okay, my data is being checked. There's a system on the back that is checking it. And then, okay, so I'm just going to, so we have like feedback. So let me pause this here. So as you can see, we have a UI that shows the uploader, the person uploading stuff that, see, we've checked through all the record. Now we've seen everything line by line and everything is okay. And then the user is now confident to click the next add to schedule button and then schedule the payment. So there's no way we could have discovered that we could work on something as valuable as this for the user without talking to them. And then we'll probably think, oh, we have a product that we are using that makes a lot of sense, and then we'll be happy. But not knowing that there's a user somewhere that is still frustrated at opening up Excel sheets, writing the name of all the accounts, and then looking at the account details and looking at those things. But when we talk to the users, like one-on-one, we got this feedback, and then we worked on it as a team. And then we developed a solution of course, it might not be the prettiest UI you've seen, but at least it solves a problem, right? So that's the whole essence of research and all of those things. You talk to your users, get their feedback, and then sometimes it is blessing in disguise when you, in fact, it's not even blessing in disguise, like it's blessing when when your users complain about your product, because it's an opportunity for you as a researcher, as a designer, to see where you can reduce their frustrations. You are looking at things you can do to make their life easier. So user interview is one. Okay, let me go back to, I need to go back to, oh, okay, so I wanted to show you this also. So as you see in the second screen, there's a screen on the lower part where we have a feedback to the user to show that, oh, you have some issues with the stuff you gave us. With the file you uploaded, and then you see the rows that have been affected, because now, there's like a lot of backstory to these things, but I wouldn't go into all of that. There's a format for you to upload stuff. So when the person goes to page 13, the line 13 in the Excel sheet, it sees exactly what is wrong. Oh, the account number field is empty. Did I miss this? So this solution is actually very helpful for the user, and then their life is more relaxed. Mind you, if you don't talk to your user, there are competition. There are people building other products too in the market that will just listen to the frustrations of your users, and then they build that product, and then you see your users living. You have low adoption rate. People are no longer using your product, and then you lose money, and salaries are not paid on time, and everybody's hungry. You get the whole idea. So user interview is very important because it helps you to gain insight into the experience of your ideal customer. It helps you to understand their feelings, their emotions, and how they interact with the product. Sorry, I need to go back to this page. Yeah. And then you can conduct user interview at any point okay, I think someone is asking a question. You can't see my screen. Okay. Ridwan, can you please confirm if
I can see your screen.
Oh, okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Just continue with the class. We'll keep taking care of it in the chat. Don't worry.
All right, thanks. Okay. So at the start of the project, you can decide to do interviews. Like if you don't have anything, like you don't have like a product, an existing product already, you can talk to your users just to have a clear concept of what you want to work on. And of course, when you have like a prototype, you have something already that you want to show to your users, you can do the user interviews again. In fact, we now have tools now these days that can make you build prototype or designs that are close to the real thing. Like you've not even called a developer to build anything, and then these designs can work for your users, and then they can test it. They can give you feedback even before development process starts proper. You've gotten all the feedback. The back and forth is between the designers, researchers, and user. And then again, when you are done with you've pushed maybe the first version, the MVP, minimum viable product, you've pushed it to the market, you have real users that are using it again. You still want to do research. You still want to talk to people. You still want to get their insights. You still want to gain deeper insight into your product's features and then possible area of improvement. Okay, I think I might finish this slide early. Right, so we have analytics. Okay, so this one again, I'll walk you through how I use this also in one of the stuff I worked on previously. So we have tools like Google Analytics. It's one of the most widely used web analytics service we have out there, although it can be a little bit overwhelming, like as it's stated here. So like I made reference to where I got this definition. So again, you see the URL and everything. Because it has a little bit to do with code, where you copy a bit of code and then you put it on your website or wherever you want to use it. But that is not really your problem, because you can get a developer to do that. I mean, it's just to copy and paste a little bit of configuration that you do. So for a researcher, that might be much work. Okay. So yeah. So analytics as a tool is very great for testing your assumption. So again, I'm going to go to my okay, I need to open a URL here where, okay. Can you still see my screen? I'm trying to load up this analytics page I once installed. Trust me, see, Google Analytics is very interesting, right? I used it and it's really, really good. But you probably don't, I mean, you can read up how to install it on whatever platform you need it for, but don't be overwhelmed. Don't bother yourself, right? It's okay. I know some of the questions we'll ask is, hey, how do I use this thing? How do I use all this thing? Like, it takes time. You need to learn it, and then tons of resources online where you can use it. So while I was applying for my job, I needed to see people, details of people that are actually using, looking at my website. Like, okay, where are these people from? How can I know them? So there's this, I can see some details here already. And I know if you look at this section, this is not a Google Analytics class, and I'm not even an expert. I'm not an expert in Google Analytics. So, but I just use it to get information that I need, right? So here I can see where most people look at. I can see each of the pages and see where people are looking at, and I can improve on it. I can try to improve on whatever. So there's one aspect that I really find very interesting. So let me go to this tech overview. And I think it was around, yeah, here. I was looking at the platform devices where people, what tools are people using to look at my portfolio. So I saw that, okay, most people use the desktop. Hold on. So I know that most people use desktop, but there are some people too that are actually using their phones. So I needed to redesign, I needed to work on my portfolio to make it, what is it called now? To make it work on mobile. Like you can, it's still okay when you're looking at it on your phone. Maybe those people are just moving from their office to their apartment and they're like, oh, let me just look at this guy that sent application. Let me see if, and then, so you want to cater for people like that too. So that's, I just wanted to show you that in little ways or in like a big way, user research can have a lot of impact on whatever you are working on. So you want to have knowledge of all these tools and everything that you need. No, I think that's not the right word to say. You don't need to know everything. Believe you me, most of the tools that I've used in terms of UX research in maybe my entire career, because we have dedicated teams that are doing the user research and all of this thing. This is what they do full time. This is what they are paid for. So they know more tools than me. I know I've used user interviews a lot of time because I talk to people, and okay, I'm fortunate enough to have worked for companies where they have teams for that are dedicated on a product, you know. So I can talk to users, I can talk to people to get their feedback. So I use user interviews a lot, which for me is probably the most interesting one. And then yeah, we have the analytics where you can install tools on your stuff. I've used this a lot, but most of the other tools that we have, I just read about them, but if as a product designer, you should know about them. It's very important, because if you know about all of these tools, when you apply for jobs, recruiters want to know if you have a knowledge of all these things. They want to know that if you are required to do some of the tasks that are, research, to make some research, you have all of these tools that you can use to get data. You know what you need to do to analyze data, to gain insight, and then present all of your findings to your stakeholders. So I thought to do it differently, right? Because coming up with like an original content is like probably going to take a lot of time, and because I was busy during the week at work, and so I wanted to make it more practical, the way I would have done it if I am the one trying to understand this whole tech space, UX research, blah, blah, blah. And so the thing is, you have to read a lot. Like you read tons, and I know it might sound scary, but that is the truth. You read a lot of articles just to really understand a topic. So we will use this beautiful article that was written by some of these experts in User Zoom. Is like a testing platform that people use to test. They used to bring in people that want to test a feature or a product on. So some of their users, so you can do them remotely. All of these tools become very, very useful during the pandemic, because now you don't talk to people, you need other ways to talk to them. So I'm going to take this example. So like I said, again, don't bother trying to screenshot or read through. I'm just going to highlight some of the parts we'll be using for our discussion. And I'm going to send each of these links for you guys to read through. Like I said, it's part of our assignment. So now this guide is about creating a research plan for a debt advice website. So what's like a debt advice website? So for people that borrow money a lot, you want to create a website for them that can give them advice on if you should keep borrowing more, or you should not borrow anymore, or you should, just general advice on debt management, right? So the first thing you want to do is to determine the goals of the research. The first thing you want to find out is, what do we gain from the effort we are putting all of this? Research has to do with time, you spend time, you spend effort, and there's so many planning that goes into it. So you want to ensure that you have your success metric. What does success look like when you are done with this research that you're trying to do? You narrow down all of the scope and everything. And then, so part of the first question using this example is, you want to increase, it could be anything, right? You want to increase engagement rates of the content. You want to uncover insightful behaviors of users in depth. You want to reduce the number of phone calls to the call center. So now you can use this concept in whatever product you are working on, right? It can be, coming back to the e-commerce example again, like, so your scope of this, of whatever, of the e-commerce is, maybe we want to find out why people, they don't follow up on their purchase. Like when they click buy now, they just abscond, they run away. They don't buy stuff. Like the number of clicks that we have, let's say we have 1,000 clicks in a day on this thing, but we can't convert those 1,000 clicks. We can't convert them to money. Like we're not making any money out of it, right? Like I showed you earlier, if you look at this part of this Google Analytics stuff, you have this, what's the name, total revenue. I know I didn't. It's a portfolio site. The purpose of my website wasn't to make money, so it was just to send to recruiters that, hey, I'm looking for a job, hire me, I need a job. So that's the main purpose of the website. So I don't have anything I'm selling. So that's why you are seeing 0 here. But if you have this on maybe a site where they sell stuff, you probably see some of those maybe items listed, and you see how much maybe that was made, the number of clicks, the engagement rates, the average number of time people use on it. All this kind of information is going to help you on, and you start asking the right questions. What do we need to do better? How do we increase engagement? How do we ensure people are, so yeah. I'm going to come back to that. Okay, so the reason why I want to reiterate, maybe for someone who's just joining, is the reason why we are going through this article is actually, I wanted to show you, because it's very difficult to take UX research in 2 hours. I wanted to show how I probably would have done it if I am learning about this topic. So yeah, so the next thing you want to do is, now that you have the goals, like you want to keep your goals clear. It has to be very clear and straight to the point. There's no ambiguity. That's correct. Yeah. So the next thing, you want to explore the questions, right? So now you'll be talking to people. You'll be asking questions from them. So you don't want to get to the point where you see your users and then you don't know what you want to ask them. So that's where you need to have taking that time out to find out the right question you want to ask that is going to help you answer these goals that you've set out initially, because you are focused on, you want to increase engagement rate of the content. We want to uncover insightful behavior of users in depth. We want to reduce the number of phone calls to care centers. Maybe any small thing, they just call the call center. Hey, why people disturbing my life? And I just owe you small 5,000, and then you are, users can be very, very funny. So maybe that's part of your end goal. So you want to make sure that the questions that you're exploring, they are helping you solve this, review, is that the word? They're helping you solve what you initially came out to do, the purpose of the research, right? So, so there are different ways you can start. First, if you have an existing product that you are working on, then you want to look at what you already have. If there are researchers in the past that have done any work whatsoever on it, you want to get those records, you want to get those analyses, you want to take a look at them, you want to go over them. So yeah, but sometimes, okay, this is of the article now. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky. For example,
I've been asking people I know to help me check.
Okay, so you might probably not have like a product that you are working on or that you built or whatever. I know it can be very tricky. I think Ridwan already realized this. That was why he gave the assignment we had, I think, which is a fantastic idea for people to start looking at stuff in the environment that they think they can improve on. It doesn't matter, like you might not turn it to a full-fledged solution that will be built, that somebody will use, but for your career, it's very important. You can pick up, okay, the transport system in Lagos or in Ife or in Ibadan is really bad. How can I improve it? Okay, what if we have a place where people can book all their transport, whatever, on an application? For example, the reason why I mentioned that is, I'm in Germany. When I got to Berlin, I noticed they have this one single app where you can buy tickets for train, you can buy a ticket for bus, you can buy a ticket for everything, and then you just have it on your app. You don't even need to use paper. You don't need to use anything. Just buy it from the app. It's connected to your bank. You pay and all of that. So I'm like, so why can't we have stuff like that too in Nigeria? I don't know. It might work. It might not work. And I think like that's part of the work of a researcher. They try it out to see if it's going to work. If it's not going to work, they're definitely going to get some insight that will help them probably build a better solution that will eventually work. I think there's some companies that are doing great stuff already. I think like CarWise and stuff like that. Yeah. So the next thing is you want to be asking the questions, like I said. What are the mindset of users when they look for advice on depth? Like, where do they turn to when they are looking for advice on depth? So, because all of these things will help you answer some of the questions, reduce number of phone calls to the call center. So maybe to them, they're like, any small thing like this, they just pick up what's the number of these people say? Let me call them and blast them. Let me just talk to them anyhow. Maybe that's their default to their default mindset to your product. You want to find out that one. What tools do users use to manage their debt and finances, right? You want to know it too. Is there anything, for example, if you know all of this, if you know all of these tools that they use to manage their debt, that can just be a feature that you can add on your product, and you can use it to increase the engagement rate of your users. Like when people have more tools to work with, like, oh, okay, this product now have they now have a tool where I can manage all my debt, or I can see how much I should be saving or how much I should be spending per month if I really want to make. Sorry, please. Can you mute? It can be very distracting. Okay. Yeah, so Yeah, so all of those information that you get from asking me those questions can go into, I mean, it can help you to achieve your own primary goal that you set out to achieve. So that's why writing all those questions, exploring those questions is very, very valid. So what information do users seek when they are researching debt management? Why do users ring the call center? And you know that all of this, so to go back to the question someone asked me is like, the question you asked for qualitative, quantitative, are they the same thing? It's actually very different because based on the scenario you are in, like you can't really know why users call the ring the call center. Okay, let's say you have a survey now, you have multiple entries. People can just lie and just click because I just need to talk to someone. And the actual reason is like they're actually angry. They are not happy with the product. They are not happy with the particular thing. So sometimes the method you now use based on the questions you're asking it's depend on the particular situation. So it's very difficult to answer that. If you, for example, if someone asks me that, oh, what tool should I use at what point? Again, there's no one fixed method that you use at every point. Based on whatever situation you have with your user or at any stage, then you know the right thing to do. You want to know the number of stuff, then you need to probably do survey. And sometimes you might not even need to do any survey. You can just go to the IT department, you talk to someone in charge of the database, you talk to your manager, or you talk to people and say, okay, I want to know the amount of users. That's why we have all these data analysts. They are now like new jobs that are popping up in IT. I won't say data analyst is a new job. It's been there for a long time. People started with Excel. They make sense of data from Excel. And then now most data analysts now are now bringing out data from database by writing small query. Okay, don't let me call it small query. They write queries and then they spool those records out for people like us, like researchers, to use. Like, okay, based on this information, we need to do our research and come up with a better way to make more money. The whole essence is to make more money okay, it can be depending on the organization you're working for. It can be to make more money. It can be to have more people. You just want to have more people using your product to create awareness. For example, a real life example I think I read about was when hotels.com, I'm not sure, so nobody should quote me, please, started. I think at the early stage, they needed to get more hotels, like more people that have like hotel buildings or whatever. You manage a hotel, they want them to be registered on their platform. So at first, they started reaching out to all of those people to have like a profile on their platform. And at some point, I don't know if it's now paid or maybe you have to pay. I mean, there are like processes now, because now everybody knows Booking. Did I say Booking.com, Hotel.com? I mean, the one in Nigeria. And then it's not very popular now. Everybody knows the company. So you have to now go through the normal process. So, at first, the first stage is to get people on board. So depending on what you want, you might be that you want to monetize stuff eventually. So you want to start with getting people first at first, and in later time, you probably monetize it and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so it's dependent on, I don't know. Yeah, I feel I'm talking too much. Yeah, so you just make sure that you the questions you are exploring, they help you answer the goal of your research. That is the whole thing I'm talking about. Okay, so someone is joined on my screen. Interesting. Yeah, so I need to go quickly because I think we are past 1 hour now, and then there's a session. Ridwan is going to talk to us. He prepared something to talk to us about that is going to be very helpful. Ridwan, are you there? Just wanted to confirm that.
Yes, Baba, I'm here.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now you choose the method. Like I said, I've been saying it since I started that there's no one straight or right way to do things. I mean, depending on your scenario, on your situation, you can use different methods. So, for example, you want to know the mindset of your users, then you can't get all your answers by survey. So at this point, you want to talk to them directly. So you want to go to their to where they are and talk to them and get their feedback or get their opinion or just get anything that would be useful for you. Remember, this is a debt management service website. The person is probably in debt. He cannot probably leave his, I mean, for someone to say he wants to manage his debt, he probably doesn't have money to say he wants to come from his house to come and meet you. So it is you that will go and meet them. Or if you can't meet them, you can provide. So in this case, you have to now start thinking about maybe the budget you have for your research. Maybe you want to bring the user from their house. You want to bring them over to the office or to a particular location that you have, that you've created, that you talk to them. So you have to think about so many things in this part. So it is going to help, and then all of this is going to help you choose the right method. How do we cut budget? How do we do all of this? And so you ask all of these questions. So tools to manage debt, you can ask them in the same interview. You can decide to do a survey for it. And then maybe during the survey, you can see people mention apps that you've not even heard about that they use. That can already serve as stuff that you can look at as maybe in terms of competition. You can start studying them and look at the features that they have and why people use those products. What can you do on your own product to make people use yours too, right? So you want to look at missing content from the website. It's part of the goals that you're trying to look at. Then you start looking at usability session. Okay, so now I know I talked about some of the UX research methods. I said I can't cover everything, to be honest. So one of those methods is usability study. So usability studies, like from the word, you want to know if a user can use something. If there's something they can't use, they will let you know. So you study them. You give them like a prototype, or like you watch them use some of your product, and then you observe them from maybe a distance, because some people can be they might try to do everything perfect or everything right because you are there. So it's like you're an influence to them. So sometimes you can tell the user to write down stuff that they observe. I mean, just so that they are in, so that those users are in their default environment when they use app. For example, if I know that someone that is working on a app, on a product or an application is looking at me like this, I'll probably use the application very well, just to, I mean, probably not to make him sad. I say, oh yeah, it works. But maybe if he's not here, I might just look at the app and say, what kind of color is this one? How would they use this kind of color? My eyes is hurting. This thing is too bright now. But if he was with me, I probably want to be nice and give him something good, or maybe something he wants to hear. So they're like tons of methods that they use, to be honest. So that's why I said when I was starting, like it's a career on its own that, I mean, that pays people's bills. So it is not, yeah, it's, okay. So I think the next part I want to talk about is, okay, I mean, I'm going to send you this later that you can go through. So please feel free to go through them. So part of those, I wanted us to look at all of these questions. So you want to ask question of who, when, why, where, what, how. So you want to look at all of these questions too, again, to help whatever goals you are trying to achieve, or whatever thing you're trying to achieve. You want to okay. This is loud. Can you help me mute? Yeah. I mean, that was very loud. Okay. So so I have this article again. Like, I really want everyone to know that, like, no, in this research, this UX research stuff is so broad that nobody knows it all. So this is how I would have done it if I'm learning it. So I mean, that's why you see articles, and I don't just want to copy their content and put it on a slide and give it out to people. Yeah, I need to reference them. So yeah, so this is their work. So another example here is the goal. You want to understand when purchasing and people want to buy an headphone, or you want to start making headphones. You want to ask questions like, who questions help you to narrow down prospective audience? So who am I selling this product to? That depth device, advice website we talked about the other time. You want to know who needs it. So that way you start looking at your audience. It helps you to start looking at the category of your users, what's their age, what's their situation, and all those questions. It is going to help you answer those questions. When, what situation, the different situation when people use your headphone. Is it that they are listening to music? Why do they use it? Where? What? How? I mean, if you have all of this already in the questions you're asking for your UX research when you're creating the plan, like, you have tons of questions you need to answer, and then it's even going to validate if you want to go on with your research, if it's something you want to continue doing or not. So all of this is going to help you create your UX, your research plan. And then so now there's this part where you want to identify practical issues, like, okay, what type of users do we need to ask? Of course, you can't ask everybody, because asking the right people is very important. There are some surveys that I've seen, and then some of like the age demographic, I'm not even in the age bracket. So how am I supposed to know what this person is asking? And so you want to be sure that you know the kind of users you want to ask. Where do you find those people? What are the ethical stuff that are involved with whatever you are trying to do? For example, you are talking about finances, debt servicing. You know it is sensitive. Like there was an example at the time when someone was doing a survey, and then there's a part where I need to put in my my BVN, and I thought for a while, BVN. Why is this person asking me for my BVN? And they didn't put any reason why I should put my BVN there. So I didn't complete the survey because there's no reason why my BVN. You didn't tell me.
That's one. I think it's just the one that happened like 2 days ago.
So you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me the reason why you are asking for my BVN. So I won't fill it in. So let's continue. So does the team have the knowledge to conduct the research? How much time do you have? Before you start over planning your research, you want to look at your timeline, you want to look at your budget, you want to look at the stuff that are available to you. So all of these things are stuff you factor into your research. And then you look at some scenarios regarding the debt advice website. So where do you find users, like your users, that they have debt problems? So you start looking at people that you know that they are probably chronic debtors. And of course, you want to be very careful here. It's not as if people are like, they just borrow money for borrowing sake. There are people that actually borrow money for business, for profit and stuff like that. So you want to take people like that into consideration. How do you get those people to give you insight into what you are building? Because at the end of the day, when you build something that at least you have people that can use it and it solves their problem, trust me, you have a product, you have something that can sell. And then like if you can improve on that, and then you have more people using it, that's more money for you. If you are the owner of the product, or they are working for a company, that's promotion for you, because they say you were the one that did this research, and you presented all of your findings to the management, and then we implemented this. We talked to the product team, and they built this feature. Of course, that's more promotion for you. That's a lot of good things for your team, and your manager is happy, or you get a promotion. So that's why you want to be to know exactly how to get participants for what you're working on. So sometimes questions such that as, okay, how much do we offer as incentive to users? For example, you just call me to come and do survey for 3 minutes. Some users will tell you that, do you know what that 3 minutes will do for me? 3 minutes of my life just doing your own thing. What do you have for me? Like, there are people like that. So you want to answer those kind of questions. And then the question is, do you have the budget for it? Do you have that money to do all of that? You have to answer those questions too. What tools do you want to use to run your survey? How do you want to host your users? Do you want to take them to one restaurant, buy food for them? And I mean, what do you want to? Yeah, so those are multiple things that go into UX research. The reason why I'm laughing. The reason I'm laughing is that before I got into product design too, I'm like, research. What is in research? It's not just to do small things. But when I read a lot about it, I started appreciating them and appreciating what they do, and seeing their value in the tech space. A developer can't be doing all of this. Like, just give me the problem, let me solve it with code. That is their own thing, and they do it very well. So who finds out where the problem is? So you see why I said, I think in our first call, that there's no part of tech that you go into that is not valuable. Like, don't think you have to code because those ones are the ones doing the heavy job. Is a big lie. If you give a developer something to build and no user is using it, he has just wasted the 6 months and 6 months working on that project, and the company is paying the person's salary. The company is probably not making a dime from that. So a UX researcher is actually very, 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 very valuable, because he or she is the one looking at the user, tracking their user, and finding data, bringing insight, and then presenting to the product team or to the management that, oh, instead of you doing that feature that you're talking about, we've tested it with the users, and we don't think that's the way they want to go. But we feel if we build this product this way, because of this and this data that we found out, we should be able to increase our revenue by this and that. So you are actually very valuable, and I encourage people to know more about UX research, because it's very broad. So where should we host our users? What type of moderators do you want to use? Like, do you have people on your team that are very good with talking with people, like even the hardest user? Can someone like talk them, calm them down, and say, oh, okay, this is what we want to do? And of course, everybody does not, they don't have like the same knowledge level. The stuff you explain to one person, you might have to explain it in more detail to another person. So do you have like someone on your team that is able to do all those things? So you factor all of those things in your research plan. Yeah. So I'm just going to continue. So, and then you decide. So of course, you're asking the question, you're deciding on how you want to solve it. So you can, the next one is a bit tricky, because if you are in a team now, it's very easy. You talk to your manager, or you talk to people that or if you are the manager, you talk to your team members on how you want to do it. But I want to assume some of us on this call, you are like me. Maybe when I start product design, I don't have a company that I'm working for. I'm just an entrepreneur on my own. And all of this thing you're talking about is very vague. So I'll talk about that at the end of, I hope somebody asks me. I'll talk about that, how I did my own at the end of this slide, right? So decide on how you want to deal with every issue. So I really want to talk on the ethical part. For example, you have in Europe here, they are very big on data. They call this thing GDPR stuff. In fact, last month we had a whole session at the office where they're talking about GDPR. GDPR is like data protection laws, where you can't just collect somebody's name and then you store it on your own, like you just have it. To today, I still receive emails from some companies in Nigeria that I probably never signed up for, and they keep sending me emails. I'm like, I didn't sign up for these people. Why? So here it's like a big deal. You can't just collect people's age. You can't just collect people's information and just have it and say, yes, I have these people's data. Because it's a criminal offense, it's a big deal, and you can pay a lot of fine for that. You can pay a lot of money for that. In fact, it can even wreck someone's career. Yeah, I've read stories of people with sensitive data of people, and then they are holding a government in ransom for that. That if you don't give us this, we will expose these people's names, their email, their phone number, where they live, and all those things. So, as a researcher, you are very powerful because you have a lot of data that you are dealing with. So, how you want to deal with all those things too is a critical factor in UX research that you need to handle. Yeah, that's part of that. So, in this case, for example, some people might not want to reveal their name, so you have to give room for anonymous people to fill it. That's if it's useful for you. But if you really need to get their name or their details, you need to let them know what you are using those data for, right? Yeah. So then the last phase is you want to evaluate, interpret, and present the data, because of course you write a report of your research and everything you've done, your findings. I don't want to go through what Ridwan already did last week. You have Google Docs. You'll be putting each of these things there. Like you just be writing. So like I just want to make a joke. This is a joke, and I'm going to be the only one to laugh about it. If you don't know how to write in product design, you suffer, to be honest, because you document a lot. You document, you write why you did this, why you did that one. When we face this challenge, what did we do? How did we solve it? You need to document that. That's why that Google Doc is very, very important. And if you want to improve in writing, there are more tools out there that can help you writing. There's Grammarly, there are other ones that you can use. Yeah, so you write that and then you present the report to your stakeholders or the decision makers in your company. And so I wanted to quickly, so I didn't copy this in a Google Doc, but I just wanted to, because I want to reference the person where I got this from. So that's what I'm showing you from the side. So for example, you have a Google Docs where you have all of this, your findings. So you have a background of your research. You write the background here. You have access to this article, and then you can read through everything. You write your research, your objectives, what you aim to achieve, what are your success metric or your KPI. So they call KPI key performance index. I know we know that. So example is, we want to understand how users currently go through tracking others on our website. We want to know how users currently manage their debt. So you write all of these things in the Google Doc format, or whatever format you use. Don't let me be limited to Google Docs, because I think you can use, maybe Keynote if you want to present. There's Keynote on Mac. They're like, you can even just put it on Medium, like just have a place where you document stuff. Like you can just put it there, and then because eventually you submit your report to people that will go through it, or you can even have it there as an archive that people know that this was the research you guys did for this product or for this project. So you list your success metrics, you list it there. You talk about the method that you use. Like I said, there are multiple methods. So you list all of them there, the questions that you ask them, all of those things, you list everything, your research scope, your focus area, you write everything down. So these are like subtopics. You also write about how you your participants, the people you recruited, so in this recruiting participants topic, I think I should talk about my experience too when I was working on one a product. Okay, I'm not sure if I have anything I want to show on that. Okay, maybe this, I can show this. So here, because it's an internal product and I really don't know anything about it, for me, I mean, of course, like we have different departments. I think we have there are a lot of departments. I don't know the exact number now, but we have at least one person from each department that are using that product. We have, maybe it can be somebody from tech team. They want to make a request, they go to that platform. It can be somebody from HR. He wants to make, for example, like if you work overtime, there's an amount you are entitled to collect. So let's say I'm the person that needs to make that request. I go to that platform, I make that request. It's there. So another user will be the person who's going to approve it, or maybe the person who's going to review it. Another user is the finance department. Another user is maybe the admin department. So they're like different set of users. So what I did was to note all of those people, at least one person from each of those departments that I know are using this product. Then I just walked up to them and talked to them straight up. So that was how I was able to get most of the things that I eventually used in the final design. Yeah. So so that's like a simple way of knowing who to recruit. Like just talk to people, because you can't talk to everyone. So you want to be careful with I wouldn't say, it's careful. You want to be to ensure you have the right participant, the people that can give you exactly what you want. You are doing, you're working on a product, an educational app for secondary school students. It will be very, I mean, you won't get sensible data if you send a survey out to a parent now. Somebody who is not in school, is just doing his normal business. And if you see the survey, he will just lie on everything. He'll just click yes, no, yes, yes, yes. And then before you know it, you think you have done research, and then the only thing, the thing you have with you, and you can't even make any sense of it. So you want to ensure that you are getting the right kind of people. And then you talk about the timeline of the research, and then you conclude. So it is this report that you submit to the decision makers, and then you get their buy-in, you get all of those things. So yeah, so that is that about how to create research plans. So I think I wanted to also talk about recruiting participants. Okay, again, I have an article for that, so I'm just going to open that here. So on this page, I mean, there are tons of different ways you can recruit participants, and I'm not going to go through everything. I already talked about the eligibility criteria. You have to look at, is this person eligible for what the questions I need answered to be answered. You're asking a parent instead of asking a student. When you're working on an educational app, you know that the data you get might not make more sense. So when you define the eligibility criteria, okay, I'm designing an application for people to pass their exams, then who are your demographic? Okay, people between SS1 to SS3. I think fortunately for this program, Emmanuel already told us that in the first call that we work on one product that is more educational related. That's class 54, and then the other one is like a print digital product. So which is a very good opportunity to work on. So just imagine like that class 54 is targeted towards people who want to write JAM, you want to write WAEC, you want to write exams that are like the academic exams. So you don't want to test that product on people that have no exams. I know you all get what I mean. So you want to read through all of this, and there's something called screener too. So before you go straight into asking your users the question, let's say you've selected maybe 20 people that you want to talk to. There's something called screener, where you screen those 20 people out again. You can if you screen them out, you probably see that you don't need all the 20, or it's actually 10 people that actually fall into the category of people that can give you what you want. So you want to have that also. I mean, you can go through all these sites to see how to write all of those questions and things you want to avoid. For example, there's an example here that a yes or no question like, do you play video games? You want to avoid questions like that, because when you ask me that, do you play video games? So I know that the questions you are going, I mean, this research is all about video game. So you don't want to, because you are trying to screen them out, you don't want to give them like every detail about it. So because at the end, if you don't use them, well, depending on who the user is, some people might be offended or whatever. So you want to keep your questions. You want to phrase your question in a way that you can get the real people that will give you the maximum result. So again, I think I'm done with what I want to talk about today. So Ridwan, very soon I'm going to give you the next. You have a lot of time to talk about stuff you wanted to talk about. But one last thing I wanted to do before I hand over to Ridwan was I wanted to show you some of this. I mean, because what's the name? The UX research topic is so broad. It's really, really broad. And then I wanted to show you these resources, like tons of resources that you can go through, you can look through. So I have this nngroup.com site. They have so much articles. Of course, some of them have paid stuff, but me, I really want to maybe exhaust the free version of things I can see first before committing myself to going for maybe a paid version. I know you understand what I mean. So there are like tons of articles here where you can read a lot of stuff. Like, for example, when I was preparing for this talk, I went through, I clicked on research methodologies, and then I read through a lot of stuff, recruiting and screening candidates. So they have these topics that they are there for us for free, and you can access them any day, anytime. So I think another one I want to talk about is some of this. Okay, I think that's going to come. That will come later, because I already talked about the assignment, which is mostly reading through links that I'm going to share in the today, and then you can find out time during the week to go through it. So before we go to the Q&A session, I think at this point I'd like Ridwan to take over. Ridwan, are you there?
Yes.
Ridwan has like some important tips to give us on this tour. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Obaba. I mean, it's been a very, very interesting session. I'm guessing that for the students, it might have been a boring class for them. And I hope that, just like some of the things that you mentioned earlier, for some of the people on the call, they might be thinking that, but you people share this product design that we are coming here to do now. How come we haven't gone to Figma? How come we haven't been doing like beautiful things and stuff? This, in fact, is the core of product design. Because when you really, really think about it, when you look at, the biggest companies in the world, when you look at the Facebook, the Netflix, the Uber, and all these other companies, when you look at their UI, there's nothing there. There's nothing flying up and down. It's just like very simple shapes, pictures and boxes and, that's it. There's nothing there really. And that's really where the problem is, because making something simple is very, very difficult. Because you can imagine that you know about colors, you know about a million fonts, you know about a million colors, you know about different pictures, different illustration style, and you have to constrain yourself to just one thing. That's a very difficult thing to do, and that's the boring stuff. That is what Mr. Kehinde has been taking us through all morning, and I hope that you guys have been able to pick up one or two things about these fundamental things about UX design, about research methodologies, how to go about finding out what you need to do, how to talk to your people, how to find out who you need to talk to, and all of that. And it's also based on that I also wanted to just take a few minutes to talk about just some things that we need to keep in mind as we continue this journey to become a product designer, as like a proper product designer, right? So over the course of the week, a couple of people were like asking questions, this week, last week together, they were asking a couple of questions that they could have simply found out by just going to Google, right? And when I saw that, I thought that, oh, okay, maybe we also need to talk about some key things that is important for you if you want to have a successful career in tech generally, not just as a product designer, but just in the general tech space, whether you're coding or you're doing design or you're doing software development or product management or cybersecurity, data analytics, whatever it is that you're doing. And I think it's also applicable in whatever career choice that you choose. There are like a couple of things, but most especially in tech, because that's where we're focusing on. These things are like very, very important. So I'm going to be talking about, just a few points that I think we need to keep in mind, right, as we go into this product design thing that we're doing. Now, the number one thing is love for the boring stuff, right? It's so, doing UI, doing fancy things, fluid transition, things entering yourself, prototyping and all that. Those are the fun stuff. But the boring stuff are also very, very key. The boring stuff, like all these things that Mr. Kehinde has taken us through, they are very, 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 in fact, the most important part of product design, research, presentation, documentation, writing down things, doing research, making sense of the research that you've done. Those things are like very, very, very key. And you need to love that part of product design as much as you love the UI, the color, the typography, the visual design side of things as well. You need to also love the boring stuff, the talking to your users, research analytics, making sense of data and all that. Those things are like very, very key, and you need to be in love with the boring stuff as well. Another thing is that you need to be a Google ninja. You need to know how to use Google to find out things. You need to know how to ask questions, how to, look for the answer to what you're looking for first. So whenever you're not sure about something, or you're trying to, maybe there's something you're trying to inquire about, something you're not sure about, the first thing you should always do is go to Google, right? Before asking any other person, always go to Google first and ask there. There's a high chance that you'll find your answer there, and then you'll be able to refine the question that you want to ask, instead of just asking somebody very, very redundant questions that you can always find on Google. So you have to be a Google expert as well. And there's an art to it as well. As you use Google more, you become better at it. We are not all equally skilled at using Google, but I promise you, as you use it more, you become better at using Google, as just finding resources, making sense of, because when you search for anything on Google, you find like 1,000,001 results. So there's an art and science to also, filtering through the millions of results that you get. How do you go to exactly what you're looking for? And how do you frame your questions in a way that you're able to get the answer gongo that you need, So that's also very, very key as a product designer. You need to also record every moment, right? And this would only start to make sense to you when you are putting together your portfolio and your case studies and all of that. So in your portfolio and case study, so for instance, Kenny was taking us through one of the case study on his website rather, and if you look through that, you'll find some of the things that happened during and, before they got to the visual design side of things, maybe the research, the conversations he had with people, the things he found out from those people and all of that. By the time you want to start working on your case study, if you don't record those moments, if you don't take pictures of maybe something you wrote on the paper, a conversation you had with somebody, a meeting that you had with somebody, and the things you found out and all that, if you don't record those moments, you won't have them by the time you're putting together your case study. And then your case study will be very, very empty. And then it will seem like you didn't do all of those things. So the only way to have those things is for you to record every moment, take pictures of everything, record everything on the voice notes, take screenshots on the screen when you're having like a Google Meet discussion. Maybe for instance, when the client is, talking to you about what you guys are trying to do, record that. Take a screenshot of your Google Meet. Keep everything as much as you can keep. Keep every folder. Create a folder for every project that you're working on. And dump everything there. The pictures, the videos, the voice notes, and everything. By the time you're ready to write your case studies, those things would come in very, very handy, and it will make your case study very, very rich compared to somebody that doesn't have pictures of when they were. When they first met the client, when they started talking, when they were making adjustments, when they were doing this. And also, as you make adjustments, so usually when you're doing product design, the first version of the UI that you produce is usually not the final UI that will be that will go to the developers, and then they will produce and move to live production, right? So keep everything. Don't overwrite your design. Don't, you have made the first version. When you want to make a second version, duplicate it and work on that second one. Don't overwrite that one. So keep everything so that by the time you're doing your case study, you're able to show that, this was the first version we had, but when we showed it to people, they said they don't like the yellow, or the yellow was too loud, or chemical, and all that. And then you're able to show the progression through your design, through, everything that you did and how you landed here. So documenting and recording the moments is the only way you're able to show that, this is how we started, this is everything that happened along the way, and this is where we landed, That is like very, very key as a product designer. Another thing, which I'm very, very glad that Kenny mentioned, is being an English god. So I'm sorry to break it to you, but if you don't understand English, if you don't write, if you don't read books, if you don't, like, if you're not very, very good with English, you're going to have problems in product design. Because you're going to be doing a lot of, documentation, a lot of presenting to like different stakeholders, the clients, the engineers, the product manager, telling them why you did what you did and all that. And if you don't understand English, that's the language you are going to use to write. So you're going to have problems there. So I would advise that anybody who is struggling with English, I would advise that you read books. I'd advise that you watch movies that they are speaking a lot of English. I'd advise that if you guys even go back to school, or you go and take tutorial classes or whatever it is, that would help you improve on your English language, on how you speak, how you write, how you present. I would definitely recommend that you do so. English is like very, very key. It is how we present what we have done. It is how we tell the story of everything that we have done. So if you have problems with English, you are going to struggle as a product designer. I can tell you that. So please, English is like very, very, very key. Very, very key. Then you also need to develop a thick skin and always be objective. So developing a thick skin, what I mean is that in this tech field, generally, whether you're doing design or you're doing software or, whatever it is, people are going to criticize the work that you're doing. And that is going to even start internally first. So when you think about your product team, you have engineers working there, you have the product manager, you have the clients, you have all of those things. Now, when you present a UI, there's a chance that the developer will just tell you that, Baba, what's this one that you have done now? And this could be something that you spend a lot of sleepless nights working on, and only for you to present it, and then they tell you that, Baba, what's this rubbish that you have done? So for that, you need to develop a thick skin. You need to separate your emotions from your design, from everything that you're doing. When people tell you that they don't like what you have done, don't take it personal. Don't take it to the air. Don't become emotional about it. Just, step backward and ask them genuinely, okay, you don't like it. Why don't you like it? Ask more probing questions. Oh, why don't you like it? Is it the color? Is it the typography? Is it the positioning? Is it the scaling? Is it the sizing? Ask more questions. Don't just put them off and say that, oh, you don't know, find something, oh, you don't know something beautiful and all that, just because you have spent a lot of, sleepless night working on that. It's important that, you step backward, you detach your emotions, your self-esteem, your ego, and all of that. It's very easy for you to slip into depression as a product designer. I will even lie, because you spend a lot of nights working on something only for you to present it and they tell you that they don't like it, And the only way for you to survive that is when you detach yourself, you detach your well-being, your ego, your confidence from your design. Don't attach your confidence and your well-being and your, just yourself. Detach yourself from your design. If you don't, you are going to have a lot of problems in product design. You're going to be depressed. You are going to be sad a lot because people are going to tell you no. People are going to shut you out a lot in product design. So please detach yourself from your design, detach yourself from your work. When people tell you that, oh, this thing is not good, this thing is bad and all that, step backward, ask them more probing questions. So why don't you like it? So is it the color? Is it the typography? Is it the button? Is it the components? Is it this? Is it that? Please, don't go and attach yourself to your design and they will tell you something and then you're having problems and you are being depressed and all that. It happens. I can tell you, I've been there, and the only way I've gotten through it is by detaching myself from my work. When somebody tells me they don't like something, instead of thinking that, maybe I don't even know this work, chef. Maybe I'm just a fraud. Maybe I'm this, maybe I'm that. I ask them questions. Oh, why don't you like it? What is the problem with this and all that? Ask questions. Don't just take it to the heart and become emotional and stuff, So that's very, very key. And always be objective. Don't come from an emotional angle with your personal sentiments and all of that. Always listen to people. What are they trying to say? What does the data say? What does the analytics say? That is usually the most important thing. Then you need to be time conscious as well. That's like very, very key. So I saw that in the assignments that we that came out last, just in the past week, a lot of people said, oh, okay, please extend the time and all of that. In product design, in any career, actually, time is very, very key, and you need to always be very, very conscious of it. There won't always be time for you to beg for an extension on the deadline of something, especially when you have like actual clients who are paying for the work that you're doing. So whenever you have a task, whenever you have something to do, always make sure that you deliver on that task even before the deadline. Do everything in your power to deliver before the deadline. If something is going to end tomorrow, and which is why it's important for you to start early. So many times in product design, just generally, many times when you have a task that is going to end next week, instead of you to start immediately, you'll be putting it off, which is where procrastination comes in, being lazy and all that. These are things that many of us are struggling with, but it's important that you recognize this pattern and you find a way around it. So if you need to start early, just so that you don't rush the work. And when you wait till almost the deadline to start working on something, it shows in the final work, because you won't have time to think about that thing and make like multiple iterations and stuff, So always start early if you need to. Be time conscious, so that you're able to deliver on whatever it is that you're working on at the earliest time possible. That's like very, very key. And then be up to date as well. In tech, and I think this is like very, very true for tech, new things are coming up every time, new research method, new tools, new ways of doing stuff, new trends and all that. You need to be on top of the trend. You need to know what's going on in the industry. You need to know how much people are earning right now. It's very easy for you to, maybe the 50K that you're earning, maybe like you have been earning 50K for 1 year and you didn't even know that people are now earning 200K, right? So you need to be up to date with what is going on in the industry. You need to be talking to people. You need to, don't be secretive. Don't be secretive in whatever you're doing. Don't be secretive. Being secretive is only beneficial to somebody who is taking advantage of you. So always be very, very open about what you're doing. If you are working somewhere, they are paying you 100K. Let people know that it is 100K that they are paying you. There's a high chance that same thing that you are doing for that same client, another person is earning 500K for it. If you are not talking to people, if you are not opening your mouth, you are going to suffer a lot in tech or in whatever industry that you are in generally, So you need to be up to speed, you need to be up to date, you need to know what is going on, and you need to be open, you need to be talking to people, you need to let them know what you're working on so that they can let you know if they are taking advantage of you or not. If you are being secretive, you'll suffer a lot. So please be up to date and just be open, talk to people, let people know what's going on. And then lastly, you need to be a great listener as well. You need to be able to listen, and there's an art to listening as well. It's not listening to respond. It's not maybe somebody is talking to you and then you're just waiting for that person to finish so that you can say your own. As a product designer, you need to be able to stay calm and listen to your users, to your clients, to your teammates, to your colleagues, to yourself, your inner self, your soul, your intuition. When it is talking to you, you need to be able to calm down and listen to yourself. So being a great listener is also another very, very important skill as a product designer. You need to just farabale very well and listen to whatever it is that whoever it is that is talking to you. That can be yourself, that can be your clients, that can be your colleagues that you're working with, maybe the engineers that you're working with. When they are telling you something, listen to them. Don't be shouting. Don't block yourself out that no, I don't want to listen. The best ideas come from when you listen to something and you try to make sense of it. When people talk to you, it's not by force that you take everything that they have said to you, but it is only by listening that you are able to identify the things that make sense in what they have told you. But if you don't farabale and maybe you have your own prejudice or you have your own preconceived idea of what you want to do, and then you block yourself out and you don't listen to people, you miss out on a lot of great stuff, a lot of juice, right? So you need to listen. You need to listen to everybody, right? Just listen. When they talk, you're not farabale and try to decipher everything that people have told you and make sense of it. Okay, what makes sense? Yeah, take it. The one that doesn't make sense, you leave it. But if you don't listen, there's no way you find out what makes sense and what doesn't make sense and stuff. So those are some of the key things that I wanted to mention to us that we need to know, we need to keep in mind as we just continue in this our journey to become a product designer. Thank you, Kenny, for giving me the opportunity to share those things with the people, and then with that we can then go to the Q&A session. Thank you so much, Kenny.
Yeah, thank you, Ridwan. That was very, that's probably what I would have said. Thank you for saying everything. Most of the things you touched on are stuff that I've experienced myself. So I think there's a question. Abiodun, you have a question. So you might want to ask now. Maybe you can unmute yourself. So before you ask the question. So if I can't answer, Ridwan is there to answer.
You're able to answer. It's not something.
So I want you guys to know that.
Yeah. Okay. When you were talking about this user research thingy, and I just want to confirm, of course, like Ridwan has said, Google is our friend.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm contradicting that, but it looks like much like a case study to me. So I want to really verify where to draw the line between what you showed us and an actual case study, or is it one and the same, or what? It's this slide. If you count from left, tab number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. No. Back. Yes. That. So what's
okay.
So of course it does not have the entirety of what a case study would contain, but then the content is more like what we should be in a case study. So what do we bring in? What do we bring out? How do we? Yeah.
That's a very good question. So this document is for your research plan, because okay, so I'm assuming in this case that you're working for an organization, right? So you want to go into a research, you want to conduct research. So you need to come up with a plan that you present to whoever is going to maybe approve, or let's say you find out that you're going to need 5,000, whoever is going to approve that, whoever is going to do all of those, and then what you need to do, you want to detail everything. So this is just a document for you. Of course, you can take pieces out of these things and use it in your portfolio, like Ridwan said, which I'm going to talk to. I want to go through my portfolio to everyone, but we'll end the recording session, and only people that are going to stay after that, those are the ones that the people I'm going to quickly walk through. I mean, just for 5 minutes. So for Biodun, so you can start using some of this document that you submitted, all of these things that you've written down. You can just take part of it. So when you start doing your portfolio, because maybe you want to get a job somewhere, whatever, you can start using some of this and then using it as maybe, okay, in your portfolio. So that's like the difference between them. So you just have it to present your research, everything you've done to some people. You don't use everything when you want to do your case study. So you just take some, because when you're not doing your portfolio at the end, you probably will not remember anything again. It may be something you did maybe 3-4 months ago. You talk to 5 people, you can't remember every of those content. So that document will help you. You just copy and paste and use it in your own portfolio. So that's like the benefit. I hope my question makes, I mean, the answer makes
Yes,
sense.
I believe I understood part of it. Thank you. So
Hello, I have a question. Okay.
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. And okay, thank you for the session so far. And really, really appreciate. So this is just my question. I want to ask that you coming in as a product designer into an already established company, as an established company that is they're already making their money, they're already out there. The solution they are trying to offer is already out there. So you coming in as a maybe a junior product designer, how can you make impact? How can you make impact? Where can you start? This company is something that is already, the solution is already outside there already. But you coming in as a junior designer, how can you make impact? You can't just go and meet the user. Maybe the way you can talk to people is not something that you understand what I'm trying to say. It's not something that you can really, really just dictate things or things like that. How can you approach this? I need your insight about this.
Okay, I'll go first, then I'll allow Ridwan to go first. So we have 6 minutes left because I still want to go through my the portfolio for you guys. So for me, I think it's a very, I mean, I know many people have opinion about this question. So, I mean, when you get to a company that already have a product that is already paying the salaries of everybody, as a designer, you can't just come and say, I don't like this thing, let's change it. Bah. Like, people will just be looking at you like, is this guy, doesn't know what to say. Something that is paying everybody, you just want to come and change something. That's not possible. So I think the first thing you want to do is like, you want to observe. You probably spend a lot of time observing so many things. Like, you probably might not be able to make impact like immediately, but it's like over time, you observe so many things. Look at it might be that you might just improve like the processes of your internal team. You start from your team itself. How do designers collaborate with engineers? You want to improve that processes. Like, okay, maybe before they just upload screenshots, they send it to the developer and it just code. Like, you can talk to them about tools like Zeppelin. You can talk to, I'm just trying to look for an example because to be very honest, it's not, it's very difficult to just come in immediately as a junior designer and just like make impact. So first thing is observe a lot. This is from your observation. You see how teams are interacting with each other, how your manager, whoever your direct reports, they have like their own KPI. Then you have your own KPI. Like, so how will you as a junior designer, how will you do stuff that can help your manager or your team as a whole complete that KPI. I think if you start from that one, like it's not, you can't. Okay, I'll be very honest with you. Where I'm working currently, like when I first came, I just wanted to do UI, and my manager was like, "Hey, calm down. Like, you need to, you need to slow down, observe a lot, look at things, because you just came, you just joined, like you can't just really make impact like immediately, except if there are like obvious problems that are already, maybe you just look at the product and there's something wrong with the experience. When people log in, the circle just roll almost 100 times, and then you start asking questions. You talk to the engineers or maybe your manager, like, why is this product always rolling like almost 20 seconds before it goes to the next page? So, and all of those comes from observation. That would be my candid experience. So you start noting all of those things down, and then you start talking to your manager about it. Right. So before you know it, your manager will notice you and like, okay. And yeah. So that I really don't have like a definite answer to that. Maybe Ridwan has something to say.
I don't think there's a better answer than what you've just said. Getting into a new place, even as a senior designer, the first thing to do is always to observe what's going on there, look at how people are doing stuff. And, these are just some of like this is another problem, right? Which is what product designers do. We try to find solutions to every problem. So you get into a new place, you're trying to show yourself and stuff, what do you do? What does our product design process say? It says the first thing to do is to discover, which is talking to people, doing research and so on, what's going on. So in the same thing, in the same vein as well, when you get to a new place where you're working, even as a senior person, the first thing to do is just observe, put your ears to the ground. How are things done here? What's the culture here? How do, just generally, how are things being done here? You want to first observe, you want to know who is calling the shots, who is making the decision and all of that. Because you don't just want to come and, and just say that the thing you people have been doing all this time, it's not good, or you guys can be doing it better and stuff. Which, I want to take your mind back to, if you were part of the class last week, we talked about how if you come now and say that you want to do a redesign of WhatsApp, as a new person that just joined, doesn't mean that the hundreds of people who are being paid millions of dollars a year, they don't know what they're doing there, So definitely, it might be that what you want to suggest is part of their roadmap, right? And you have not come down to see their roadmap, and you have just come and say that it's rubbish that they are doing. It might be because maybe some business reasons is the reason why they haven't gotten to working on that thing. So I think, just like Nia said, the first thing to do is just observe what is going on there. Why that thing that you want to tell them to do, why haven't they done it till now? Do they have a plan to do it and they just haven't gotten around to doing it? So just observe, make note of everything that you're observing. And as you go, I'm sure you'll figure out what would make the most impact for you to do. It could be suggesting a new tool for them to use. Like, Kenny also said, maybe there's a particular way they're doing something and then you say, oh, let's do this thing, But I would also like to conclude with, when you want to suggest ways for people to improve the work that they're doing, there is one thing that I'd like for you to keep at the back of your mind. I'd like for you to search within yourself and evaluate the reason why you want to do that thing. Do you want to do that thing? Do you want to point out that problem to spite some people? Or do you want to do that thing genuinely because you want that situation to be better? I've seen like many situations where, which is like something that I'm just picking up from my wife very recently, right? When you want to like do something for people or for somebody or for a product, search within yourself for why exactly you want to do that thing. What is the purpose for that? Is it coming from a good place or is it coming from a bad place? So, they're like, there isn't like a straightforward way to figure out any of these things. Just get there, have like the best intentions, understand your KPI. What are the first things that you need to do? What have they said that you should do? What have they hired you for? First, excel at that thing first. Be a badass at that thing, right? Excel, be on time, deliver your work. They would start to notice you on those things first, right? So first deliver on what they have hired you to do. When you have now done that one, you can now start going the extra mile. So it's not that they will hire you now. Instead of you to first fix your work, you are first going to go and point out the error in some other people's work when you have not done your own. What were you hired for? First, deliver on that, because you'll be shocked that in many companies, a lot of people there are just passive members of team. They are not actually delivering on the work that they're doing. So you coming in and doing exactly what you have been told to do to the best of your ability is already putting you up there. It's already putting you in the radar of, your line manager, your departmental lead and stuff. Then when you do that, you can then go the extra mile and look for, what are some other pet projects that I can do that can further, just make me better, put me in a better place, help me move up the ranks and all that. Do things for people genuinely without them asking. It'll put you in the good books of those people, so that when they are talking about, somebody moving up the ladder, they're able to make recommendations for you. Abib is such a great guy. He did this, he did that, he did this, he did that. He comes in early, he does this, he does that, and then he also did this, So I think those are some of like the key things to keep in mind. I hope me and Mr. Kenny are able to answer the question, Abib.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that, Ridwan. So I think we need to end the session quickly. So like I said, we'll stop the recording now. Ridwan, can you end the recording?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
the recording is ended.
Oh, I mean, I'm still seeing this live stuff, like maybe on.
Oh, okay. That one is to YouTube. Should I stop streaming to YouTube as well?
Yeah,